August 2018, you were even elected as the chairman, conference of speaker 57 of the House of Assembly in Nigeria. And you even led these speakers to the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And they have a lot of trust in you, and they believe in you. If those people could believe in you, white people from the north, white people from the south, white people from all angles of Nigeria that are speakers in this country, if they could believe in you, and somebody will be saying that you are acting like a dictator. And I want to say that just 10 days ago, Sunday to precisely 8th of March, you were still giving best legislator in 2020 of this year. And somebody is saying you are acting like a leader. I want to say, Mr. Speaker, that you have done a lot for this House of Assembly. Recently that we are talking about this Amotekun issue. This is an Amotekun bill that you have done for long. What we just did is just an amendment to our own Amotekun in this House of Assembly. I want to say that this is just a distraction in your work that you are doing. I want to say that you are not a dictator, and you are a Democrat, and we are enjoying your leadership. And somebody like me, I always emulate your kind of leader. I always emulate some kind of policies. I always emulate some kind of your attitude. And I want to say that on behalf of people of my constituency in Etosa Constituency 1, I want to support the motion to pass a vote of confidence on you and to support you always. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Well, unlike me, I will want to call Honorable Macaulay, because you are one of those that signs the change of leadership list, and you have not said anything. And among the write-up was people were being forced to sign. So I want you to clear yourself, please.
Right Honorable Speaker, my distinguished colleagues, I want to apologize. You know, this weekend I received double blow because there was something that happened, an ugly incident. It was a black weekend for me. Yesterday, we had a gas explosion in my constituency. You can see me in my morning clothes. That's why I'm kind of a little emotional today, because I've never seen anything like that before. So I want to apologize. However, I want to say this categorically, that just like my colleague, Honorable Akonde, has said, that it's just rubbish. When you have something good, and Mr. Speaker, let me just say this in a parable, that nobody, like the elders normally say, that nobody ever throws stone at a tree without fruits. Watch very carefully when you see people throwing pebbles at trees. Of course, they have very luscious, like Honorable Olowo has said once before, that you're a very sweet man. So I'm sure the tree, which is the House of Assembly, has beautiful fruits, of which you are the captain. You are one of the major fruits in this house that we look up to, especially I, for one. You're a very good person. You're a very honest person. And then them coming up with another rubbish saying that you're a dictator, that is absolutely rubbish in capital, letters. Because there is no time we ever come to your office that you never speak to us, that you never advise us. Even at odd hours, there was a day you were making a joke that you have started your night shift. And I said, oh God, when will this your shift ever stop? That is you. You have your morning shift, you have your afternoon shift, and your night shift. So who, a right-thinking person, will come up and say, and there is no decision we take in parliamentary that you never allow us to speak. As a matter of fact, you always want us to speak our minds. Before then, we agree collectively as one body. Mr. Speaker, I think this is just a mere distraction. We should just throw it in the trash where it belongs. Otherwise, as the House has said that we should dig in to, further investigate or call the petitioner, to the House, and like the Yoruba would say, seriously. But for me, I think we'll just ignore, and you just carry on with your good works. God bless you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, my distinguished honorable colleagues.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm sorry to put you on the spot. Well, I just want to thank all of you for all you have said about the petition and concerning my person. But there are 2 or 3 points made that I would like to shed light. Before these incidents, we have discussed extensively at the parliamentary meeting issues relating to, diverging the discussion in the House severally. I'm sure you can recall that. And at our last discussion, I boldly, to some of, even the committee that was set up, I told them that the issue that came out in the Guardian sometimes ago, that I mentioned Honorable Oshun's name, Moshood Oshun. And why? Because it was the one that called me severally and repeatedly about issue of custom, and at the same time, it was the one that called and informed me of his vehicle being seized by custom in Ibadan. And I followed up, asked him to give us the number of his contacts. He did not up to this time. He told us about being issued a document, and I asked for the document. As we speak, there's nothing like that. So it was not far-fetched to identify the person that has relationship with the person that wrote that nonsense story in the Guardian. And that was why I said somebody stole the voucher of the House, because the man claimed to the Chairman House Committee on Information that he was in possession of the House voucher on those vehicles. Where did he get it? How did he get it? If not for the role played by one of us in this House. And mind you, let me remind you, last Monday I mentioned about discipline, that discipline is key. If you want to get things done, if you want to sustain the image of this institution, we must apply discipline. The Imam Bula, what does he call himself, and Jimo are very close friends. So it's not far-fetched to know who is behind the petition and all the stories. And everything that we have in that petition, we have discussed them in the past. So those who are saying, let us do this, let us do, then we are not being sincere to ourselves. None of us can claim that he has no knowledge of all these things, because we have deliberated upon them severally. So if we had set up a committee to look into this matter, and after that, those who have been disciplined according to the rules of the House are now bold enough to start all this, then I don't think there's need for the committee to continue. There's nothing to work on. I haven't set up a committee, and those people that we found wanting and disciplined are now responsible for all this blackmailing the institution they belong to, and considering their status in this House, the fourth-timers and the third-timers. Well, I think it's not something that we should just, overlook. I don't think so. If we have issue, as rightly said by some of us, we have internal mechanism to manage whatever we have. But in this situation, and let me clear it, there's no crisis in Lagos State House of Assembly. We don't have crisis. For the fact that 2 or 3 people sat somewhere and wrote nonsense does not mean we have crisis. We have, how many of us are here today? We have 30-something. If there's a crisis, you won't have up to 30-something here. We had a sitting on Monday, we had a sitting on Tuesday, parliamentary on Thursday, and we now have a sitting. So where is the crisis? There is no crisis in this House, and there won't be crisis. We took decision in the interest of Lagos and Lagosian and the House. And anytime there's need to take such decision, we will continue. And to Honorable B.C. Yusuf, I'm not a fly. You've said it repeatedly, and repeatedly I've responded, I'm not a fly. So I don't need to be clapped for. But everybody must stand by the truth. The truth will set you free. It doesn't matter where you belong or who you are supporting. There is no decision that we have taken in this House that we did not discuss in the parliaments, at the parliamentary meeting. There is none. And if there's anybody that thinks we have taken a decision without discussing it, let him raise it here. While you are making your submission, you didn't even mention about it that we discussed even issue of the cars that you talked about. All you said was you should produce the document, the document is always there. Everybody can visit Mr. Clark to check for the documents. There's nothing hidden, and I'm saying it openly. There's nothing like the King Run. Check from today to next year. Nothing like the King Run. Nothing. There's no relationship between the kingdom and the House of Assembly. The kingdom exists, but it has no relationship with this house. I'm saying it openly. So if you want to cross-check, go and cross-check. But whatever we did, we all agreed. And let me remind you again, at the twilight of 8th Assembly, Honorable Abiru was sitting, was he here or Jakonde? And he rose up and said, this is failure on the part of leadership. I don't know if some of us can remember, that we have not been given the backup car, and we have not been given our apartment and all sorts. So what are we now saying? It's the same Abiru that is now calling himself a dictator. So when we know the truth, let us share the truth. I'm not saying you should support me compulsorily. It's unnecessary, but do what is right. Today it's Obasa, tomorrow it will be somebody else. For me, I've taken a decision and I'm standing by it. And I did not take the decision in isolation of the members. We all agreed, and it was done in the open. We stand by what we did. Honorable Olowo, your prayers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think I'm very comfortable now, because I was a bit disturbed by that malicious, baseless report, petition. Mr. Speaker, you can see the testimony. I said it, that my colleagues, they were not nuts, and that when the decisions were taken, we were all part of that decision. It was the decision of the House. It wasn't an individual decision. I thank you all for the testimonies, which obviously is going to elevate the image of our Speaker. It's still the symbol of this House. We can't do without it. On that note, Mr. Speaker, I want to move that I've appreciated you to be a very, very democratic, responsible, reliable Speaker, that I move that a vote of confidence is passed on you. I so move.
Honorable Desmond.
Thank you, my right honorable Speaker. I proudly, strongly second the motion as moved.
Well, it's not going to, the question is not going to be voice one. So if you are in support, please raise up your hand. So we have the whole house. Thank you. I thank you all once again, and I sincerely appreciate you. May Almighty Allah continue to bless us. Well. Thank you. Honorable Macaulay.
Right Honorable Speaker, sir, my honorable colleagues, I wish to, with heavy emotions and pain in my heart, I wish to bring to the floor of the House the attention to the fatal gas explosion which occurred yesterday, Sunday, 15th March 2020, in my constituency, Amuwo-Odofin Constituency 1, precisely Abule Ado, a location after Festac Town. The explosion affected buildings, properties, and of course, lives were taken. A lot of buildings, over 50, were fatally destroyed. A school was located right beside the pipeline in Abule Ado, the school Bethlehem Girls College, which went down in rubbles. The principal of the school, in trying to save the lives of the girls, also lost her life, and also with two other Reverend sisters who fell dead as a result of the inferno. Right Honorable Speaker, sir, houses were badly destroyed, children were displaced, and families under fear and agony. A lot of people, I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker, I'm getting emotional. Many have been rendered homeless. I saw a lot of dead bodies being, brought out of the rubbles. I must acknowledge the swift, attention of the Lagos State Emergency Management Authority, LSHA. The moment I got the call, the distress call from my constituency, Dr. Soyintolu was the first person I called, and I met him at the scene of the occurrence. I also want to thank the Lagos State Ambulance Services. They came from Badagry and they were so prompt. I also want to thank the media, my colleagues and my former colleagues, well, members of the Fourth Estate, because I tried to reach them on all radio stations and they responded, and I heard them, reporting live yesterday on air. Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, I want to call on the meaningful Nigerians to please come to the aid of Amu Odofin, the federal government, stakeholders of public interest, NGOs, both foreign and local. And I also want to use this medium to commiserate with the families of the victims, and also to pray that God, in his infinite mercy, grant a peaceful repose to the dead. Mr. Speaker, sir, and my colleagues, I also want this House to resolve to call on Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, the Governor of Lagos State, to set up a committee to investigate the cause of the fatal explosion which happened on Sunday 15th at exactly 9:04 a.m., March 2020 at Abule Ado, Amu Odofin Local Government, Lagos, and also to compensate the victims of the gas explosion, and also to direct the Lands Bureau to investigate the allocation of lands to residents that built on the pipeline corridors within Abule Ado and by extension other parts of Lagos State without proper approval from the state government, and also to call on the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, and Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, to ensure strict compliance to right-of-ways as relating to the construction of buildings around the pipeline, gas and petroleum within the state, owned and maintained by the NNPC. I pray, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues.
Honorable Joe, Temitope Adewale.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Once again, I congratulate you. Mr. Speaker, indeed, it was a black weekend. Mr. Speaker, while I send my unreserved condolences to the families and the great people of Amu Odofin, I would also like to use this opportunity to commend the Governor, His Excellency Babajide Sanwo-Olu, for swift response, also to commend the LSHA family, the Fire Service Department, and all other rescue agencies for their prompt action. Mr. Speaker, I want to also commend the Governor for he had done the expected. What he has done is to raise funds, like we heard. And I want to wish him well, as he has wished for the people of Amu Odofin. But, sir, I remember in this House of Assembly, some months ago, we raised the same issue regarding explosion of gas lines and pipelines. We raised the issue of vandalism on this same matter. Mr. Speaker, there is the need to have proper security apparatuses to secure these volatile areas where we know these bunkering and illegal actions are being carried on. So I also like to add to the mover of the motion that to call on the Governor to create a joint task force where we can have the likes of the neighborhood security, the police, the army, and all other security apparatus to also help to secure these environments that we know are volatile, and such activities are always going on. Mr. Speaker, the security of life and property is one and almost the only responsibility of any responsible government. It is very important for us to continue to protect the life and properties of the people within the states and beyond. This is my submission, sir. Thank you.
Honorable Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon again, colleagues. It was really a black Sunday. Our condolence goes to my condolence and the people of Etiosa constituency too, goes to the families of those that lost their lives, particularly the principal of the school who died or who got injured and died on the way to the hospital while she was trying to rescue children out of that hospital. May their soul rest in peace. May the family find the fortitude to bear this loss. We must commend the first respondents, like Honorable Macaulay said, LSHA, LSHA, Fire Service, NEMA, the police, the health services, neighborhood safety corps, the residents and volunteers, because everybody came out, even though it was something that has not been experienced in that area before, because people said it sounded like a bomb. But as information has come out now, an NPC said, eyewitness also said, a truck hit some gas cylinders. The gas cylinders, which was at a gas refill plant, exploded, and there's nearby NMPC pipelines, and the whole place became an inferno. But of course, it will first of all come with an explosion, because very likely there was petrol being pushed through that line. And according to NMPC, they've shut it off now, but they were showing that it's not going to affect supplies to petrol stations. That means it was an active line. So what happened is what would have happened if fire gets into those pipelines. I'm happy with Mr. Governor. I saw him on TV today. He has set up a fund, a relief fund of 2 billion naira for the people of Abule Ado for relief, as Honorable Macaulay has sought. And the state had put in 250 million naira as a seed fund for that fund. I will also contribute money to that fund personally so that we can hit that target and bring relief to the people of that area. Also, the Lagos State, by his Mr. Governor, has set up a committee, I think is headed by the Deputy Governor of the state, to giving them 2 weeks to find out the remote causes and way forward on what could have created this very embarrassing situation. There are things I would love the committee to also look at. Things like, why is there a school near a pipeline? Is that school approved or not? Why do we have a gas station on a pipeline? Houses in that place, do they have approval? Like the last time I checked, I think during one of our sessions, a lot of land along pipeline ways, even up to trade fair, they're federal allocation. Federal CFO is what they hold. Lagos State, a lot of people don't do regularization. So most of them are very, very likely not to have building approval in those places. Because I know our Lagos State government, our Lagos State Planning Permit Authority will not under any circumstance give people building approval in the right of way of pipelines. Because the pipeline normally has its right of ways. And it's big. And that's why this explosion was that catastrophe. However, I would want to appeal to everybody else to contribute to this fund, because yes, we know our state is rich. Everybody perceives the state is rich. We all know the price of oil is coming down. Our statutory allocation is also going to drop. So all well-meaning Nigerians should please contribute to this fund. Mr. Speaker, colleagues, the culprits behind this explosion, after the task force must have finished their job, they must be brought to book. It mustn't be business as usual. That fine, we'll provide relief for them, but people must be punished. Somebody must be held accountable for this catastrophe. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Kehinde Joseph.
Thank you, the Right Honorable Speaker. What happened yesterday was very, very unfortunate, because my area is not that far from that axis. I was about going to church. It was 5 minutes to 9 yesterday morning. That was exactly when I heard that sound. I even thought it was what happened around January 27, 2000 or 2001, during this military bomb blast. That was what my wife was telling me, that it seems that was explosion. I said yes. Then later we heard what happened. I sympathize with the victims, most especially Senior Reverend Aloka, the principal of Bethlehem College. It was very, very unfortunate. And those that lost their lives too, I pray that the Almighty God will grant the family the fortitude to bear the loss. And those that were injured too, I wish them soonest or quick recovery. This thing to us, especially that side of the state, it's becoming a regular occurrence. Even though this one is a gas explosion, it was here that we moved motion, suggestions. We even went to the ministry, to the this Ministry of Intergovernmental and Intergovernmental Relations the other time, in respect of these particular issues, which normally caused by funders. Lots of suggestions were raised. People building very close to where the pipelines were. People doing businesses very close to where those things were. Children are schooling at that place. I want us to think of one thing. A life lost. Can we compare with all those amounts that we are spending now? Our people are very stubborn, yes. What of all those machineries, the systems that we have in place? Ministry of Physical Planning, even though you are not giving them the approval, the tax folks are there. They can chase them out. We can't continue losing lives. For you to turn on your television at times, you fear, either from the northeast, north central, southwest, people are just dying like chickens. It's very, very unfortunate. And the last time, those funders that perpetrated what happened at Ijegun the other time, and the same thing at Abulegba, up till now, what have they done to them? Have they not released them? Those people that they promised they are going to compensate, the NNPC, have they compensated them? They have not been compensated till now. Some people lost their lives, even family. Some of our people at Ijegun there, a grandfather, grandmother, mother, then their children, almost 3 or 4 generations, died. The family of those people, those that remains, they will never pray for this country. It's very, very emotional. But I believe with whatever we are saying, please, let's take action. The Right Honorable Speaker, sir, please, please use your good office to please assist that those people, the perpetrators of this thing, they must be brought to book. And the other people that they have been arrested in respect of the explosion at Abulegba and the one at Ijegun, let Nigerians know what happened to them. Until we start doing such things, these people will still continue doing those dastardly acts. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Tobo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Well, my own observation, well, first and foremost, I want to commiserate with the people that were affected and the good people of Amuwo, Odofin, and Abule Ado. But, sir, then we should commend the state government too, and the officials, especially the firefighters, the NEMA, who were able to move there to quench the light as quickly as possible. We want to commend them. But, sir, in my own opinion, this is once too many. Day before yesterday, Abule Egba, yesterday, Ijegun, Ikorodu, now Abule Ado. I strongly feel that NNPC were not doing what is expected of them. Those pipes were old as 50 years plus, and they were not monitoring their properties. And Lagos State government keep on paying money, resuscitating people who are affected. A government, a responsible government must be concerned with the life and property of its people. I am of the opinion that Lagos State government should take an NPC to court. Enough is enough. If they are making money and people are dying because of the business they are doing, they are corporate entity, they are generating money and doing other things, and these people are dying for God's sake. So either negligence on their parts, or dereliction of duty on their parts, or they are not monitoring their property very well, should not be to the detriment of the good people of Lagos State. So I feel at this level, Lagos State government should take them to court. That is my own opinion, sir. And we should get restitution, get paid for the damage caused to our people. Instead of Lagos State donating 2 billion, they should be made to pay substantially so that next time they will know how to guide and protect their property. Thank you very much.
Honorable Desmond.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of the people of Surulere, I want to express my sincere condolences to Honorable Macaulay and to the families of the people that were lost at that very disheartening incident that occurred yesterday. Mr. Speaker, it's, according to Honorable Tobun, it's becoming one time too many. November 29, 2019, December 6, 2019, January 20th, 2020, and of course yesterday as well. It's becoming a recurring decimal, and if it's not nipped in the bud immediately, we are going to have a calamity. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Isha was correct in saying that some of these permits come from the federal, especially around that axis. People have no business having buildings around pipeline ways. And I think we should really check it, because whenever there are calamities like this, it's the state that bears the burden. This brings to bear another very major incident around that area again, if not checked. We have tank farmhouses also in those areas where people reside. I think we need to really check this. This is the house of the people. We have to speak up for them. This is the voice of the people. Thank you very much.
Honorable Victor Akodo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is indeed a Black Sunday. And we, the people of Ojo Constituency 1, by extension, Ojo as a whole, we share your pains, we share your sentiment, and we share your concern. And our condolences goes to our sister, Honorable Osmola Mujisola Oluwa Alimakoli, the Catholic faithful, the governor of the state, and general by extension Lagosians. It has become a problem, and it needs to be named in the board. The Ojo Constituency 1 share boundary with Amuwo and Ijegun, where we always have recurrence. I was away in Imo when I was called by the Bala of Ijagemo and Ijeododo that there is a problem in that axis. And because the pipeline runs through Ijeododo, Ijagemo, all those areas and Ijegun. So they were afraid that actually it's within our domain. But that as it may, it is high time we continue to press her. Lagos is too big. The federal government left a lot of things for us in Lagos to manage. And sometimes ago, we were pressing for 5% to manage all those things that the federal government left behind. But today, we are not even asking for 5%. Let them just give us 1% so that we can be able to manage all or maintain all the structures that they put behind. It is high time for the state government to liaise properly with the federal government to be able to have a joint force to manage and to marshal and to protect the pipelines. Especially where the Lagos State government, Mr. Governor, has decided to construct the road that led from Ijeododo to Abuleado. It will be very easy if that road is given expedient action. It will be very easy to be able to what? To secure to and fro those pipelines. And in this wise, again, I commiserate with the family of the departed. May the soul of the departed rest in perfect peace. Amen.
Lastly, Honorable Miranda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, on behalf of the good people of Papa Constituency 1, I stand to commiserate with the people of Amuwo Dofi Federal Constituency of the ugly incident that happened yesterday. I pray very soon that God will put an end to the issue of pipelines in our state. Sir, I would also want to say that even in my constituency, Apapa Constituency 1, we have so many tanks farms, which I know and I believe that most developed countries, there's nowhere in the world that we have tank farms close to residential apartments. In Apapa, most of these residential apartments are already in existence before all the tank farms started moving in. So I want to use this opportunity to beg the federal government, likewise the state government, to help look into the issue of tank farms and gas plants in residential areas. We have places in Lagos that I want to believe they can be moved to while the court residential apartment away from them. Thank you so much. This is my submission.
Honorable Macaulay, can we have your prayers?
Right Honorable Speaker, sir, my distinguished colleagues, I want to thank you for lending your voice to this ugly occurrence. My prayer, Mr. Speaker, succinctly, this House notes the fatal explosion that occurred on Sunday, 15th March 2020 at Amuodofin local government area of Lagos State. Further notes that the explosion affected several buildings, destroyed property, including Bethlehem Girls College, and halted commercial activities within the environs by the explosion. This House, however, resolves that a call that Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, the Governor of Lagos State, to set up a committee to investigate the cause of, and having set up the committee to investigate, to ensure that the perpetrators be brought to book. This House also calls on the Lagos State government to take NNPC to court and get restitution for the damage done to the people. Also, this is calling on all meaningful Nigerians, the federal government, NGOs, with both foreign and local with public interest, to also contribute to ameliorating the sufferings of the people that have been badly affected by the gas explosion. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, to call on Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation and DPR, Department of Petroleum Resources, to ensure strict compliance to right-of-ways as related to the construction of buildings around the pipeline, gas and petroleum within the state, owned and maintained by the NNPC. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, to direct the Lands Bureau to investigate the allocation of lands to residents that build on the pipeline corridors within Abule Ado and by extension other parts of Lagos State without proper approval from the state government. I so move.
Well, I think there is need for amendments in your prayers. Well, we need to be sure. I don't think NNPC is responsible for the gas line. I think there is, huh? Yeah, so we have another body, and at the same time, we can only call on the states to further investigate or aftermath of the discovery of the committee set up to now file a suit against either corporate body or individual responsible. So I think it's very somehow clumsy asking them to go to court. So who are they taking to court? So we still have to wait for the outcome of the investigation of that committee. So maybe we just look at that area and readdress it. And likely physical planning is in charge of building permits and others, not land bureau. So you can as well include federal government, because the federal government is responsible for everybody at least to play a role. So do you want to take that? Can you put up your light, please? Yeah, go ahead.
The Right Honorable Speaker, my distinguished colleagues, I rise to move as amended by the Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Agus Laimon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I, Rauf Olawale Sulaiman, representing Amu Odofin Constituency 2, hereby rise to support the motion as moved.
All in favor say ayes. Those against nay, the ayes have it. Honorable Rotimi Olowo, business of the day.
Mr. Speaker, my colleagues, good afternoon. I stand before you this afternoon to lay a report on land use charge annual rate regulations, land use charge law 2020. Isolation. Also, to lay the report of the Committee on Finance on stamp duty, new stamp duty design and electronic franking regulations 2020. Isolate.
Thank you. Deputy Majority Leader, Honorable Naim.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and fellow colleagues. Business of the day, we have House of Assembly Bill number 6, Lagos State Lotteries and Gaming Authority Bill 2020, and we have House of Assembly Bill number 7, which is Animal Bill 2020. And you agree with me that we have spent a lot of time today, and with the concurrence of the Speaker, with the approval of the Right Honorable Speaker, I hereby move that these two bills be stepped down for another day.
Honorable Nureni.
I rise to second the motion.
All in favor say ayes. Those against nay, the ayes have it. Honorable Naim.
Right Honorable Speaker and fellow colleagues, I have the approval of the Right Honorable Speaker to move that this House stands adjourned till Tuesday, 17th of March at 10 a.m. prompt. I so move.
Honorable Temitope.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved.
And there will be a short meeting immediately after plenary. All in favor say ayes. Those against nay, the ayes have it. This house stands adjourned to Tuesday, 17th March 2020 at 10 a.m. prompt. I rise.